What's up, everyone? Welcome to the channel. Today I am going to review Batman Nightfall Part 1. This video will contain spoilers for Batman Nightfall Part 1. So, Warner Brothers Animation and DC Studios is releasing an animated trilogy of movies that is adapting the Batman Nightfall storyline into animation. And this is one of the best comic book movies I have ever seen. Today they decided to drop part 1 of 3, and this movie is incredible. The performances in it are incredible. You have a stacked voice cast in this. You have Anson Mount voicing Batman Bruce Wayne. You have Michael Mando voicing Bane. You have Pablo Schreiber voicing John Paul Valley Azrael. You have David Dastmalchian voicing the Riddler. You have a bunch of really cool people in this trilogy of movies. And really talented people in this trilogy of animated movies. This movie is one of the most comic book accurate movies I have ever seen. As I say with every comic book adaptation that I review on this channel. Doesn't matter if it's a video game, doesn't matter if it's a movie, doesn't matter if it's a TV series, right? Comic book adaptations adapt, they don't copy and paste. But this is very accurate to the comic books. There's some things that they add, like the first half of part 1 of the Nightfall trilogy is detailing Bane's origin and how he became this way. And then the second half of the movie is detailing the plan of how Bane broke the Batman, right? And yeah, like, this movie is incredible. If you think Batman Nightfall is one of the best storylines for Batman of all time, like I do, you will love this movie. If you are a nerd and you love comic books and Batman is one of your favorite characters, like myself, you will love this movie, right? This movie is amazing. Michael Mando's performance as Bane is amazing. Bro, like, my favorite type of performances to watch, right? And this is animation, but the rule still applies here, right? My favorite performances to watch are when the actor disappears and they fully become the character. You have that with the whole cast in this movie. They fully become the characters that they're playing because we're doing the voices of the characters that they're playing, right? Michael Mando's voice as Bane is so, like, it's so scary. When Bane is on screen, it's like you're watching a horror movie. Like, that's how Michael Mando plays Bane in this. Like, he does this voice. I don't know if I can mimic it, but it's very scary. Like, when Bane's on screen and he's fighting Robin, because he fights Robin in part 1, right? And when he takes over Santa Prisca, and when he fights Batman and breaks Batman and breaks his back, like, he is like, Michael Mando brings this presence to Bane just through voiceover that is terrifying. Like, when Bane's on screen, it's terrifying, right? In a good way, because that's how Bane's supposed to be depicted in this story, right? Right? And I also love how this movie shows Bane's intelligence. Like, Bane doesn't just go after Batman when he's like at 100%. He waits. He orchestrates a plan to go after Batman when Batman is weakest, right? After Batman has put away like 20 villains in the span of 2 days with no sleep. And Um, Anson Mount's performance as Bruce Wayne Batman here is also incredible. The voice actor that voices Robin's performance, and this is Tim Drake Robin. So the voice actor that voices Tim Drake in this film gives an incredible performance, right? Um, the Pablo Shriver, who voices John Paul Valley as Riel in this film, gives an incredible performance. David Dastmalchian, who has a um, small role but a very impactful role in this film, does a great Riddler voice, right? Um, and yeah, like all the actors in this are giving some of their best performances. For me, what I love about this film is how comic book accurate it is. Yes, I, I said it before. I'm gonna say it again. All comic book adaptations adapt. They don't copy and paste. This though, this has so much like shots from the Nightfall. Like it's like you took the comic book and you're adapting the comic book onto a screen, right? Like this movie is so comic book accurate. Yes, they do add things that are a bit different um than the comic book story, but as I say, comic book adaptations adapt, they don't copy and paste. This this version of Tim Drake is the coolest version of Tim Drake that's ever been adapted in media, in other forms of media besides comics. This version of Tim Drake is the Tim Drake that I like. This is 90s Tim Drake. This story was published in the 90s, so this is 90s Batman, right? The art style in this movie and in this trilogy of movies is very 90s, right? It's just Warner Brothers Animation only dropped the first part today. So we still have part 2 and part 3 to look forward to. So this is very like it's a very brutal Batman. It's a Batman after like Batman is still getting over the death of Jason Todd. He's still getting over his falling out with Nightwing, and Tim Drake is very new to being Robin, right? But they make Tim Drake's Robin look so damn cool in this movie. This is the Tim Drake. This is how they need to write Tim Drake in modern comics today, in my opinion. And if James Gunn adapts Tim Drake into the DCU somehow, this is how you need to write Tim Drake in this. In how they write Tim Drake in this movie, whoever adapts Tim Drake into James Gunn's DCU needs to write Tim Drake this way, because they make Tim Drake, who I like, but he's not my favorite Robin. They make Tim Drake one of my favorite Robins in this film. They made Tim Drake one of my favorite writers, and one of my favorite Robins in this film. Jeremy Johns, who wrote the screenplay for this film, did an incredible job writing the film, right? And for me, I just love how they take, like, literally, guys, there's some shots in this film, like, there's some shots in this film that are very, like, it's like you took the art of a comic book and did that for this movie, and we still have two more parts of this thing to watch, like, and this was incredible, man. Anson Mount is a great Batman. I think Anson, if he wanted to, could play Batman in live action. And in this, like, Anson has a great Batman voice, but it focused, like, Batman is obviously the main part that Anson plays in this, but he does get scenes as Bruce Wayne in this first film, and he has an incredible Bruce Wayne too. Like um like his bat Anson Mount is a super underrated actor in my opinion, right? So like whatever I get to give him props, I'm gonna do it, right? Like he does a great job as Bruce Wayne and Batman, right? Also, Michael Mando and his his I don't know if you can call it screen presence, but I'm gonna call it screen presence. And keep in mind, guys, this is an animated movie, so the actors in this movie only have one part of their arsenal as actors in this movie, their voice. And all of them give S tier level performances in this film. Especially the voice actor that plays Tim Drake, Michael Mando as Bane, Pablo Schreiber as John Paul Valley, and Anson Mount as Batman. Those four are like the um those four are like the four lead characters, but all the casts of this trilogy of films knocked it out of a park for part one. Like they they knocked it out of a park for part one, right? And Michael Mando gives this presence to Bane just with his voice that makes whenever Bane appears on screen, right? When he gets injected with the Titan, and when the warden of Santa Prisca like locks him in like a sewer crate, right? Like a sewer. Like when Michael Mando becomes the Bane that we all know and love, he brings something to Bane that I haven't seen in any adaptation of Bane before, right? And I love Tom Hardy's version of Bane from The Dark Knight Rises, but Michael Mando to me is the best actor to play Bane in a movie. And yes, this is an animated movie, but it's one of the best comic book adaptations I have ever seen, in my opinion. It truly is. And they fleshed out like if you do like The Dark Knight Rises and you do like Bane in that movie, you will love this movie. You will love this movie. If you're a comic book fan and if Nightfall is one of your favorite storylines, um for Batman, you will love this movie. And keep in mind, guys, we still have two more parts to watch, right? That haven't released yet of this trilogy. And they knocked it out the park with part one, in my opinion. I seriously think this is one of the best comic book adaptations for Batman that he's ever gotten. And Batman's got a lot of good movies, animated movies, video games, and this is one of the best adaptations. Just with part one of the Nightfall trilogy, the Nightfall animated trilogy, this is one of the best comic book adaptations that I have seen for Batman. And Batman is one of my favorite comic book characters. You guys know I am a big nerd. I love all things superhero. I love all things nerd, right? Batman is one of my favorite characters, and they did him so much justice in this film. It's not even funny. They did him so much justice in this film. Like, bro, like you literally get to see Batman be a brutal Batman. You literally get to see him get broken by Bane in this film. And then part two and part three, if they're as good as this film, this is gonna be one of the best comic book um adaptation trilogies of all time, in my opinion. Like this movie is something special. Like it's something special. I have no complaints with this movie. Batman Nightfall Part 1 is so well paced. Like when they give you Bane's origin story, they make you sympathize with Bane. And then when he becomes the monster that Bane is, and you you see why he became that monster. And I love here too that they show Bane's intelligence in this film. I think I already mentioned that. But I love too how they show Bane's intelligence. And I hope they continue to do that in the other two parts of the trilogy. Because we still have two more parts of this trilogy to watch and to release. But it's so incredible, and I will be reviewing this whole trilogy on this channel as they release. So today, Warner Brothers and DC released Batman Nightfall Part 1. They haven't revealed the release dates for Batman Nightfall Part 2 and Part 3, but when they do, your boy will be buying those movies and reviewing them on this channel, because this movie was better than I expected. I expected it to be good because um they've done a pretty good job of adapting Batman stories into animation, in my opinion. Like, um, special shout out to the Long Halloween duology of animated movies, starring my boy Jensen Ackles voicing Batman. But this movie really impressed me, and I hope you guys can tell that from this review. I would strongly recommend watching this movie if you are a fan of superheroes, if you are a fan of Batman, if you are a fan of Tim Drake Robin from the 90s and the early 2000s. I would recommend watching this film. If you're a fan of John Paul Valley, Azrael, in if you're a fan of Azrael, you should watch this film. If you're just a superhero fan in general, you should watch this film. Bro. Oh, and I know it will probably never happen, but Michael Mando should play Bane in live action, right? Like, just the presence that Michael Mando brings Bane with his voice in this movie, he should play Bane in live action, right? I've been a fan of Michael Mando's acting since when did Far Cry 3 come out? Like 2011? I've been a fan, or no, 2012. I've been a fan of Michael Mando's acting since 2012, right? And he's been doing a lot of nerd stuff lately, because he was just in Spider-Man Brand New Day as Scorpion, and now he has this trilogy of movies that he's playing Bane in, and he is incredible. His voice for Bane is incredible. Like, it's something, like, when I watch videos and watch comic book videos, shout out to Comics Explained, shout out to Comic Storian, shout out to Variant, shout out to Screen Crush, and Heavy Spoilers Show, and Boba Talks, and all those YouTube channels. They all inspire me, right? Right? Because comic books and nerd stuff is one of my main passions in life, right? Um, but when I watch those videos, and I like, especially like Comics Explained and Comic Storian, I'm gonna hear Michael Mando's voice as Bane now. Like, I'm gonna hear Michael Mando's voice as Bane, because he does such a good job of a voice of Bane in this. Anson Mount as Bruce Wayne Batman, you get to see, like, Anson Mount has voiced Batman before in the Injustice animated movie, that they released a few years ago, that Warner Brothers Animation released a few years ago, and I liked his performance as Batman in that. But this gives him a lot more dimensions to play with Batman and Bruce Wayne in this, because he has a Bruce Wayne voice and he has a Batman voice. You get to see him be angry Batman, tired Batman, Batman in his prime. Like, the first fight in the movie is Batman fighting Azrael, and then once he realizes that John Paul Valley doesn't know what he's, or doesn't remember what he's doing as Azrael, then you get to see, like, the storyline of Azrael, which I'm not going to spoil the storyline of Azrael because we're going to cover that more in part 2 of the animated trilogy of Nightfall and part 3. But Azrael, for those of you that are watching that are comic book fans, is a very interesting character. And I love, like, I wasn't expecting them to show like Bane as a kid, right? Like, I wasn't expecting them to show Bane as a kid and how he became Bane. I know that's from the comic books, but like they really did a great job of adapting this first part of the story of Nightfall into this first movie. Like they nailed it. They nailed it. And I would give this movie a 10 out of 10. I would strongly recommend you watch this movie. I would strongly recommend you buy this movie. This movie was 24 bucks. I bought it and I think it's one of the best comic book movies of all time. So, and one of the best comic book adaptations for Batman of all time. So I cannot wait for part 2 of the trilogy and part 3 of the trilogy. And I loved this movie, and I would give this movie a 10 out of 10. And yeah, thank you so much, and I hope you have a great day, and God bless you guys.